Oh, hello. Back for more, eh? Well, brace yourselves, because it's time to go over the 5 greatest things to happen in Magic the Gathering this year. But first, a quick word. You might think after my previous video, the list of the 5 biggest mistakes to happen in Magic this year, that perhaps Wizards of the Coast is going in a bad direction. Perhaps Magic the Gathering has not been all that it can be. Nothing could be further from the truth. The truth is that Wizards of the Coast is a company that makes a product that we love and enjoy. This does not mean that they are always right, far from it, but it also does not mean that they are always wrong. Their goal is not to be our friend, nor is it to be our enemy. Their goal is to get our money. In this relationship, although it may not always feel that way, we, the consumer, actually have a great deal of power. We have power in what we purchase. We can vote with our dollars, and we can voice what it is we have liked and what it is we have disliked, and try and shape the game in days and years to come. That is the point of these videos, in a way of all of my videos. That is why there is a need for criticism, both positive and negative. My job, and in a way, all of our jobs, is not to overly praise, nor to overly degrade, but to offer that fair and honest criticism, both positive and negative, so as to make this a better product for everyone, consumer and corporation alike. Remember, you are the ones with the power in this relationship. How do you use it? And how do you wield it? That is a decision that only you can make. Now then, what were the 5 best things to happen in Magic this year? I'm not going to be talking about the sweeping changes to professional Magic that were announced recently, namely the $10 million being invested into the Magic Pro League and the investment in Magic as a competitive esport. Now this actually has me beyond excited. I am 100%, 110%, 200% in favor of it. Yeah, I know it doesn't work that way, whatever. Think nearly every aspect of this change appears so far to be brilliant, but nothing has actually happened yet. So I'm not talking about it here. This all starts next year, so unless you just wanted me to give a thumbs up on intentions, which, yeah, fellow youths, thumbs up, dudes, I prefer to wait and see what implementation actually looks like and how well they pull it off. Also, that commercial rocked. I don't care what you say.
Hear their whispers, feel their respect, understand their fear. Even me, MacLeod, I'll know. And the actual creator of Magic will also know.
All right, let's kick this off for real with number 5. And yeah, one of the greatest things to happen in Magic the Gathering this year is a pre-constructed product. We actually had a lot of great products this year. I really liked and gave a positive review to the new Signature Spellbook series. Awesome, was beyond impressed and enjoyed the heck out of Battle Bond. Great job. And I just raved about the Ravnica Guild kits. Fantastic. Simply fantastic. But this isn't a list of everything that was just great. It's a list of the absolute greatest. And out of all of those and more, I have to say that Challenger decks are the pre-constructed product that made the list this year. Challenger decks are still somewhat controversial because they are a product with quite an expiration date on them. Challenger decks are only good for about 5 to 6 months after they are released, and then either need a significant overhaul or to be disregarded entirely. Still, I think they are one of the greatest things to happen to Magic the Gathering this year because they are the closest we have to a Commander precon for Standard, and thus Wizards of the Coast finally cracked the code that gave us what no product has before, including event decks, by the way, or has ever successfully done before, which is a pre-constructed product anyone can buy and then sit down at Friday Night Magic with and play right out of the box. Standard needs an on-ramp and has been without one for years. Event decks came close but were extremely hit and miss, relying on R&D to predict future standard decks over a year in advance. But thanks to the new play design team within R&D, and apparently the corporate go-ahead to reprint multiple expensive cards and mythics within a reasonably priced precon, a product that allowed people without standard decks to play standard was finally released. It's amazing to see in these challenger decks we had multiples of mythics, even planeswalkers within some of them, which are only slightly powered down versions of decks that were winning big in tournaments at the time. If standard is the premier format of Magic the Gathering, and of course it is, then some system needed to be in place for those who do not play standard to be able to play standard easily and effectively, and more so than anything else, Challenger decks provided that. While we currently have no idea if we will see Challenger decks return in 2019, though I strongly hope that they will, there is no doubt in my mind that these Challenger decks of 2018 helped bring a huge number of players, both established and brand new, to the standard format this year. And that's why it's one of the greatest things to happen in 2018. All right, but coming in at number 4 is a bit of a cheat on my part, but what are you going to do about it? Nothing. But for number 4, what I've done is I've chosen not one singular act, but multiple acts that share the same theme. Reversing bad decisions. Hey, it takes a lot of guts to admit when you are wrong, and wow, was WotC wrong about a lot last year, so much so that this year, some of their greatest hits was just going back to the way things were. So for starters, previously, Wizards of the Coast ended core sets. Huge mistake. Core sets may not have been as popular as the new fall set, but they serve a vital role in the game, both in terms of overall design, standard stability, and also new player access. I mean, the core set is essentially Magic the Gathering basic. It's what Magic the Gathering began as, just a core set, as it were. And doing away with it was getting rid not only of a vital part of the game, but also a fundamental one. Well, they brought them back this year, and it was a great choice to do so. Along those lines, previously Wizards of the Coast vowed that Modern was done from the Pro Tour scene. Modern Pro Tours were finished, gone for good. But 2018 saw it return, and with thundering results, making it one of the most watched and enjoyed events of the entire year. While, as I mentioned earlier, we are seeing major changes in the pro scene, WotC has already assured us, no doubt based on outstanding viewership of this year's Modern Pro Tour, combined with the still extremely profitable Ultimate Masters sales, that Modern has a future in competitive Magic. Excellent reverse coursing, WotC. This is the year we saw Friday Night Magic promos come back. Wizards of the Coast discontinued them last year. Took them about 3 months before dwindling attendance and overwhelming complaints from store owners and players alike caused a reverse course of action. Seriously, these were discontinued for literally a couple months. Huge mistake, and then beep, 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 we're backing it up. Blocks becoming a 2-set structure? Nope. While they couldn't explicitly go back to the 3 sets per block, they announced they were no longer restricting blocks by a number of sets and immediately began with a 3-set block, just like the good old days. And I think out of all of these reverse courses, if I had to pick just one above all the rest to be the true owner of the number 4 slot, it would be the return of Standard to the once per year rotation instead of twice per year. Standard is already a tough format to keep up with, even with Challenger decks. Go away for a bit and your deck rotates out, needing you to work your way from the ground up again. Players want to get some time out of their decks and their cards, but Wizards of the Coast, being a company, wanted you to be buying more and more, and so they decided to double the speed of rotation. The effects were almost instantaneous. Most casual F&Mers couldn't keep up or didn't want to try. Now, we can already see the results of these and other changes in the excellent standard environment we now have. A well-attended one, I might add. Promos help with that as well. Looking forward to 2019, there's still a lot of great things that Wizards put an end to that they have yet to reverse course on. Whether it's more recent things that they did away with, like game day/store championships, or older classics like player rewards. Maybe with a bit of luck, 2019 will be the year in review where I get to praise the return of those and more. Fingers crossed. All right, next up at number 3, we see Wizards of the Coast looking not to the future with Magic the Gathering, but to its past, specifically its very origins. Bringing back Magic the Gathering's own creator, Richard Garfield, to work on designing a set, and having that set on the original plane of Magic, Domon Area, which was a set like no other we've had in a long time. Domon Area was the greatest set not just of this year, but of many years. There have been a lot of great sets and products this year, and in years previous, but Domon Area made the list because it was like no other. It was the most memorable and iconic and all-around fun for limited and constructed set that we have had, and I would wager to say that Domon Area may in fact be the best set that Magic has had since Original Innistrad, which coincidentally was the last set that Richard Garfield worked on. There's a lot that made Domon Area work. All 10 color combinations had interesting archetypes and themes for draft, which translated to a more diverse constructed environment. The uncommons were emphasized, including introducing uncommon legends, and this added value beyond just one card per pack. Gameplay resulted in not being a grindy one-for-one trade-off, but also not a super fast steamroller event either. It was so well balanced, and I'll be honest, nostalgia probably played a huge part. I think people enjoyed less Super Friends of the Justice League and interesting legends like the crew of the Weatherlight instead. Sagas about the history of Magic, man. Sagas were so cool, along with old favorites like Karn, Jaya, Teferi, and Joyra, making the set rich in flavor. Well, mechanically, as I said, the set hit every note right, providing great limited, great constructed, even some gems for Commander and other formats. Best set in years, and without a doubt, the best of 2018. Now, as we approach number 2 and number 1 on this list, I want to ask, why did so many of these things go right in 2018? Well, much of what I've already discussed has connection to the new play design team, and they were instrumental in everything from challenger decks to the fantastic state of standard right now. The purpose of play design, if you're not already familiar, was to be a group solely dedicated to the health of tournament environments, to make sure that playing Magic in structured settings is as enjoyable as possible. And right now, the standard we are seeing with the start of Guilds of Ravnica is the first standard that they wholly were responsible for all sets in, and it's a fantastic standard. And it's fantastic because of play design, because R&D now has an entire team dedicated to the health of standard and other tournament environments. It's filled with pro players, former and current, who have overall ensured that playing Magic in structured settings is as enjoyable as possible. In addition to play design being instrumental in challenger decks and designing sets for the current rotation and block structure, they were also important in making sure there's no terrible broken combos just by playing the formats as pros would, because they are pros, and trying to break them. Then planning out changes to ensure that it doesn't actually break when finally launched. What a concept, and what a great thing to have this year. Now, what worries me greatly is the idea of some executives somewhere up Hasbro's ladders looking to cut costs and seeing this entire team as dubious or superfluous because their connection to a healthy standard is not necessarily self-evident to someone looking to budget cut. And one of the things that I do find troublesome about play design is simply that for many, their important work in some ways is invisible. So I hope very much that its inclusion on this list helps raise awareness for just how important the team is. Because in my evaluation anyway, play design is not only the greatest thing to happen in Magic this year, but possibly one of the most important and positive changes to happen ever. It's vital that it continues fully staffed, if not expanded upon, and fully funded, if not expanded upon. We have them to thank for this renaissance in Standard. But without a doubt, by light years in fact, the greatest thing to happen to Magic in 2018 was not only so far ahead of everything else on this list, but possibly would make a list of greatest things to ever happen in Magic the Gathering. Like, ever. And that, the number one thing, is Magic Arena. I didn't think Magic was dying, but if it was, Arena was what saved it. Magic Arena is everything a Magic the Gathering online client should be. It is intuitive, it is fast, it is fun, it is sleek in design, and best of all, it's real Magic the Gathering. I remember people being afraid that Arena would have no instant speed spells or no ability to stop at each phase, but no, Arena is Magic, and Magic has arrived in digital at long last. And despite what naysayers have said, Arena is not the end of paper Magic. Rather, it is a new beginning. Already, local game stores are reporting a rise in attendance as well as influxes of younger players. People who have either had their interest in Magic the Gathering reignited through Arena or discovered Magic the Gathering through Arena. Arena is not taking players from paper. It is bringing players to Magic the Gathering overall, and then that naturally is going to include paper. It's free to play. There's no subscription or sign-up fees. You can just sit around with the cards you earn for free through grinding and challenge your friends again and again, all for free. It even has a great tutorial built in, and I am positive within just this next year alone, most new players to Magic will say that they learned how to play through Magic Arena. Hey, it's not even out of beta yet, and look at how great it is. I'm particularly proud of my very first video on Arena, where I looked at it in its early alpha state and already called it, already said that the software was solid and the interface fantastic. The only problems with Arena lie in the decisions of the people making it. Terrible, greedy economy, oh you betcha. But all that takes is a decision to change, and it can be made better. No formats other than Standard? Yeah, that's terrible, but we already know that that's going to change by next rotation, and if it is not the change we want to see, we can continue to voice our opinions until we get what we want instead. Like I said at the beginning of this video, the power is ultimately ours. We are not subject to Wizards of the Coast's wants and desires so much as they are subjected to ours. And with that, to years to come. And in those years to come, if I might add a goal for Tolarian Community College while I have you here, I think we're going to hit 500,000 subscribers in 2019. We just hit 400,000, and I'm going to do the 400K Q&A. So if you've got questions for me, then today, right now, leave those questions in the comments below, and I will try and answer as many as possible in my 400K Q&A video coming up next week. So stay tuned and stay with me till 500,000 in 2019 and beyond. Like I said, to years to come. And this video is brought to you by my and many other people's local game store, Card Kingdom, a brick-and-mortar pillar of this community, as well as the Patreon support of viewers such as you. These are the people that keep Tolarian Community College going and growing strong. So thank you.